all-around great guy, mentor to many, hated by a lot, the one, the only, Coach Robb here.
How you doing, guys?
We're great. How are you, sir?
How's it going, sir?
Hey, man, thanks for having me on the show. It's been a great season. I just can't believe it's over already. Say what?
I know. And Supercross is, what, 3.5 months away already? God.
Hey, who's all with the show tonight?
Just me and Justin are here.
Yeah, Cole's not committed anymore.
Cole isn't committed to the show anymore, so he only supposedly he's a Supercross only deal is what he tells us, but we'll see what happens.
Kind of like Marv.
Gotcha.
Don't get ahead of me. It's in my notes, okay?
See what I did there?
Coach, I'm using my sick new Moto E tumbler here to drink water tonight, so it's great.
There you go.
There's legitimately water. That's not code for alcohol either, so.
Hey, I wanted to make sure that you like that, because if you guys both like it, I can get another one out to you. But I was like, all right, I'd rather you check it out, make sure you like it. And like I said, I can send an all silver one or another black one. I just figured I'd let you kind of test drive it. Let me know what you think.
What do you want? Do you want an all silver or a black one? Because these are great. I'm actually wildly impressed when I got it. They're even like actual Yetis.
I think the silver would be pretty cool.
They're not off brand because like I know Yetis are not cheap.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. We have a business partner who he's doing Cerakoting and doing some other things.
Sick.
And I said, I just kind of threw it up to him. I said, hey, can you give me some Yetis? And Mike McGuire's his name. He's got his own coatings business. Not competing like with what you do, kind of like a little bit on a, not a little bit and a much in the same sentence, but he's kind of doing those one-off kind of like special build projects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did them all. He did them all for us. We sent them out to all of our annual members.
So is this this is Cerakoted then?
It is.
Sweet.
After it's been etched and then it's been coated, and he's kind of gotten the process finalized and kind of a little bit dialed. And that one of the cup that you have is one of the two that we sent out to all of our annual members of our Moto E membership area, just to say thanks for being a member. That and a pound of Bump Start Coffee, which is Cole Seeley's company.
Sweet. Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like when I got it, coming from a coatings guy, when I got it, I was very highly checking out the letters and stuff to see like how good it looked, and it's good,
it looks
man.
Good.
And then does he use a laser to do the Yeti thing on the back, or was that all masking too? Okay.
Nope, that's all laser there, and then the coating that goes with it. My big thing is, I mean, I don't want to sound arrogant because that's not my intentions. I don't want to send out a generic piece. I'm amazed how Yetis, you pour a glass of water, it stays cold literally for hours on end. And I'm just like, we got to get that into our members' hands. So
yeah,
he's got to contact at Yeti, and that's what we're sending out.
Sweet.
Like I said, you guys let me know what you want. I'll make sure the show has as many as they need. We won't send one to Cole. We'll make that wait till Supercross, but we'll make sure that you guys are set up.
Yeah, we got to get Justin one because we were just sitting here talking about how we need to do a show where we just get loaded and talk moto. So he definitely needs one so that he can sip out of it also.
Yes.
Well, let's do this then. Why don't we do a show where everybody, what is I was not a drinker in high school, I apologize, or college because I was racing bikes professionally. What's that game where like somebody says a word and everybody has to drink?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
We actually did this once during what was it? We did this during a Facebook Live thing once.
Yeah,
there you go.
We did it during Supercross.
Yeah,
though,
for the Vegas round. I don't know. Yeah. I know what Coach is talking about. But me and Travis did this during the infamous Zach Osborne Joey Savacci race, and we were pretty toasted.
Yeah, what was Ralph saying that night that we were like, dude, every time he says this, it didn't take more than 3 laps, and we were pretty
it was like
hammered.
6 and it was gone.
Well, and what we can do is we can make it the Moto E shot or something like that,
Yes.
Maybe we can do some giveaways on the show. Obviously, the three of us have a special announcement that once I get some new logos over to you, we'll make a couple new announcements. I'm hoping it'll be by the end of September. But, yeah. Like you said, let's have some fun with the listeners. I love watching your numbers grow. I love seeing the comments. Congratulations to both of you guys. Looks like the numbers are growing quicker and quicker. So it says a lot about what you guys are putting together, both on YouTube as well as on podcasts. Good job.
Well, thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you, sir.
We're just
Appreciate
throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, basically. So
yeah, and the people definitely like the one with Johnny last week. That was for sure.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And what about Marantz? You guys may have already started talking about it, but what about Marantz getting that chance with I still call it BTO. I can't. There's 37 acronyms on the team nowadays.
Rocky Mountain BTO Sports, AWO. I don't know what the hell it is.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Brandalism at its finest.
Yeah.
But, did you talk to him? How do you like the bike?
We haven't actually talked to him yet. He's coming on after you.
Okay.
But he called, or I found out somebody on YouTube actually commented, like, Moranz is on BTO this weekend. And I'm like,
well, the word came out on what, Thursday, I think it was?
I don't know. It was like Joey wasn't riding, and they called Kev. Kev literally, I think, was at the track with his stuff. And they were like, hey, you want to ride?
Yeah, and remember, he had kind of been, in talks with them to begin with. But, you know.
I'll be interested because I asked him. I did talk to him Friday night for like 15 minutes. And I was like, so are you putting like your suspension on the bike or anything like that? He's like, nope. It's just Joey's bike, and I'm just riding it. And I'm like, oh,
wow.
Boy.
I think all he said in the interview, I think it was with Anton on Friday. I think the only thing that he told him is he basically got on the bike and adjusted the bars and the levers, and that was it.
Well,
I think pretty much that sounded like it. And maybe they probably did a gearing change.
He went 17-11, so
yeah, and he was running 10th for a while that second moto. And when he gets on, we'll talk to him about it. But yeah, I mean, and I think also just having half a day to get the bike dialed in, that was probably part of it too.
Whatever. I mean,
cool
experience for
him.
him.
Going to be really. What I'm interested in is getting his feedback on like the delivery of the power. Talking with Jeremy Martin. When we were at the goat farm, I had Dungy and Jeremy Martin was there. The discrepancy between his race bike and his practice bike was huge. And for him, I'd be very interested. Is it dramatically that much better? You hear about maybe getting all the gearings coated and all that. I want to know all the little small nuances that he'll pick up on: delivery of power, shifting ease, delivery of power. I mean, just that whole spectrum. I always love hearing him when he's on your show, so I can't wait to get his perspective on this. I would just wish they would create a place for him long term. I mean, it looks like Max Anstey, of course, and Mac Rath are definitely going there, but I think it'd be so cool. And I heard he got a fill, and I'm like, man, just keep him. Don't let him go away,
Yeah. And he told us Indiana, wasn't
Iron
it?
Man.
Yeah, that he was in line for a fill in there if they needed someone.
Okay.
So he'd already had an idea that he was in line there if something were to happen. Granted, I don't think any of us really thought that the last round of outdoors was going to be that time, but
also nobody really knew Joey had all these issues going on either, which good on him for, I guess, keeping it a secret. But
what issues does he have going on? Because I didn't even know.
He's been sick since Washougal, and this is another. Well, Coach is the perfect person to talk about this. So we talked about it before, but all these guys getting sick all of a sudden.
Oh boy, be careful how we talk. We don't need to be like Cooksey and the coach.
Yeah,
We're not trying to get kicked off YouTube.
I'm not doing that. My thing is that concerns me with Joey, and everybody who watches the show knows that I really do like Joey, even with all of his faults. The scary thing is that he is telling people he doesn't know why he's sick. Like, he did all the bullshit COVID test. He did the blood test.
We haven't heard that before from Ken Roxon.
Yeah, but with Joey, though, the thing with Joey is like he's never really been in this position before. So, like, the fact that he's telling people, like, he doesn't know why he's sick and what's happening with his body, like, that's a little concerning to me, especially considering he, for the most part, had a really good summer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, we talked about it before. Until the last couple rounds, he was one of the top finishing KTM guys consistently, and then just for him to not know why he keeps getting sick, like, that's concerning to me, so I don't know. I mean,
well, if you go back, you can't watch it on YouTube, but you can listen to it on all the major podcast platforms and listen to 2 episodes ago of Cooksey and the Coach. They dive really deep into the current situation of health that's going around the United States, and that's how I'm going to phrase this. And I believe in that they make the connection somewhat between all these dudes who are now suffering from Epstein-Barr and whatever, and the current health situation going on in the world.
All I know is if I heard Weege say COVID one more time yesterday,
oh my God,
I was going to jump through the fucking. I was going to jump through the fucking screen and beat his ass. I'm like, dude, you said COVID like 30 times in one moto. Stop.
That was a mess. That was a mess.
That was so annoying.
Talking about that, but all right, boys, let's talk about this race a little bit here, though. because one of the things that we've gotten requests for from a couple of different people, and you've been around for this, Justin, is that we don't do as good of a job covering the race as we used to.
Yeah, I still want to know that guy. We never got his name.
I'm going to have to text Chiz and ask.
Yeah, have you told Coach about this? We got called out at Ironman by one of the guys from 3D, a Southwick local. He's like, yeah, you guys are on that Talk Shit podcast. You guys do a really good job of breaking down the races, but when you're not talking about the races, it kind of sucks.
He did too.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Like he wasn't rude. Like, it was funny. We were waiting to talk to Kyle or whatever, like on Friday, but like we just go over there and he's like, yeah, you guys are from that, and then he just straight up said to our face, and I'm like, well, only a dude from the Northeast would just straight up call out.
Definitely a Northeastern guy, not scared to say anything to us.
But then he like followed us around and he called Travis a terrorist and called me an insurrectionist. It was a little weird.
It was fucking great. Love that guy. We need to get him on the show.
Hey, dude, he said when if we go to Foxborough next year,
he'll get
us what was it, lobster?
Yeah,
he was like, he'll cook us some lobster.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I'm so far out on going to New York.
Now you're
Fuck
talking.
that.
I was like, oh shit,
no way. New York and California, I really don't want to go to. We are talking about going to A1, but fuck.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I just thought it was
There you
funny.
go.
He's like, yeah, I'll cook you guys some lobster. Just wait to go to Foxborough. I'm like, dude, you're going to be cooking lobster when it's like 22 degrees out? What do you mean?
Yeah. Coach, you've been
He's like,
to Southern California here. How bad is it right now?
was talking to one of our clients, and with the rain and stuff that they've gotten, it's actually not been too bad at all. As Chris and I were talking about, I wasn't even sure, talking to some of the people out there, if they hadn't got that rain, I would be a bit surprised if we went back to Paula. But they got the rain. It just seemed like the fires stopped, the wind slowed down, air quality was good. I was glad not to hear, Jeff or anybody talk about the air quality being so bad. We didn't hear the riders talking about it. So it seems to have gotten a little bit better. It still blows my mind that people are vacating their houses because the fires are so close. It's just something I can't even really relate to. That just seems pretty, incredibly scary.
What about with the current health situation in the world out there? Because that's where I get a little nervous with California's whole situation and going there.
I apologize. Either my phone or your phone broke up. What was going on there?
What about the current health situation of the world out there? Like, what's it like being in California with all of the things going on there right now?
I think typical media has blown it out of proportion. We're in Bryson City right now, which is in North Carolina. We've been here for a week. I held a couple of endurance camps. We shot some video for an upcoming digital product. And before we got here, people had warned us that North Carolina was like crazy mask mandate. We had not literally seen one mask mandate anywhere. You see some elderly people in the grocery store that are, and I respect that. They're elderly. I wouldn't want to get sick. But when we were in California, we did not see the mask situation the way that the media likes to convey it. In fact, we didn't, and we're not requested to put a mask on to go into any restaurant. And we were in San Diego for 2 weeks straight. So I just don't believe the media anymore. And we have a team in Australia, an amateur motocross team that's managed by Tim Lawler. And it's amazing to talk to them because, like, when all the riots were going crazy,
yeah,
they're like, "Man, are you going to live tonight?" I mean, the message that gets conveyed is that this country that we love, especially on the day after 9/11, this media is so out of control. The message that they convey, we're all running around gasping for air, we're dying left and right, we're shooting each other. This media is just absolute hogwash. And it's not until you talk to other people. We have a pretty strong presence in the UK, and we have 5 facilities that we're getting ready to open over there, and we can't go because I refuse to take the vaccine. I'm okay with that. That's just an executive decision. What's staggering is you talk to the guys in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, and the only thing that gets pushed out of the United States is we hate each other, we're trying to kill each other, our economy's gone to hell in a handbasket, everybody's health is horrible. I'm like, I apologize. I'm sorry that that's what you're seeing, but I'm not seeing it anywhere. And since COVID hit a year and a half ago, Michaela and I have been across the United States 5 times, 2 of which we drove. That was right when COVID hit, and we committed to Whiskey Throw. Well, you know how it is. I mean, you guys own your own businesses. We had committed to Whiskey Throttle. We had committed to Daniel Blair at Main Event Moto. Our dates were on the calendar. COVID hits. We weren't sure if flights were going to be canceled. We freaking just rented a SUV, ate out of the back of a cooler, and we drove ourselves across the country. I'm not looking for Yatta boys. My point is, we have not been sick yet. I'm literally in North Carolina today. I drive home tomorrow. I fly to Utah on Thursday. I'm there for 10 days. We're home for 3 days, and then we're back on a plane. Life goes on. Am I sounding, arrogant or disrespectful to the virus? No. But like we talked about, it's a virus. Yes, people are dying from it, but what people have a tendency to take out of context is what is the comorbidity issue associated with those that have the virus? The last statistic I saw, now of course statistics, they can say whatever number you want. I'm hearing 76% of the people that have died of COVID also had another health issue, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, etc. So if the government wants to do any of us a favor, why don't they give us a free gym membership? I know my buddy Ken Laurie, who owns numerous gyms. Send him a check for $20,000 a month and let X amount of people come in and work out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm all for free rights. Unfortunately, I lost my mom to cancer. She died, literally suffocated to death because she smoked for 45 years. Okay. If you want to really help the Americans out, what about just doing something about smoking? Again, I know that there are some of our listeners that smoke, and that's their right. But this whole idea that, again, the government's out there trying to make us healthy by taking a vaccine just doesn't even make any sense. I would like to see gym memberships. How about getting a discount on health care? If you can go in and have a certain criteria of health evaluation where your health insurance goes down because you work out 3 days a week in the gym and you walk a mile a day. I don't know. This isn't rocket science. But yeah, we certainly are seeing the focus being put in the wrong place. That's for darn sure.
Sure are. So,
Yeah.
All right. Now that we've gone through our health of the world talk,
Yeah.
let's talk some racing here. So, 450 class here. Let's start with Dylan Ferrandis.
Yeah, we need to stop thinking that because we had talked about this with Johnny last week, what Dylan was going to show up.
Yeah.
Pressure's off. He wins the title. Are we going to see this crazy battle with Eli? Or is he going to do what most champions do after they win the title and just kind of, lay back, just go out there, try to make it through. Vacations next week. It's coming. And then just get ready for Supercross. I think we just need to realize that Dylan, that's just not how he's wired, man.
Well, hold up now. So I was listening to the post-race interviews today with a certain Schmolpam-X guy.
Oh, douchebag. Okay.
Jesus God. Okay. All right. Here we go. Anyway, and
Sorry, no
he
filter
literally said that in that second moto where he got caught up with Shock in the first corner, he pulled into the mechanic, or the mechanics came running over, whatever, got the bike out, and he was literally about to go back to the truck and just take his gear off and just chill.
No.
He was literally like, oh, screw it. I don't care. I'm just going to call it a year. And then they were like, no, the bike's good. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I'll try to ride and see.
Well, and that's fine. And I didn't know that because once again, like I've told you before, there's certain people I just won't listen to anymore when it comes to the media. But I just mean even that first moto. He didn't have to go after Kenny like he did.
No.
He did just say, hey man, I'm second. Eli goes down. I got this gap on Coop. Let Kenny have it. And then you just realize that, oh, Dylan's not wired that way. And be that as it may, and I totally get that if you just be like, I'm going to pull off. But the fact, though, that, let's be real, once again, it wasn't as hot as it was at Paula, but it was still 95 degrees out.
Yep.
Track was almost blue-grooved in spots. Concrete, square edge, rounded edge, every edge you could imagine in dirt bike terminology. And the fact that he came from, might as well have been dead last because half the people that were, the only 4 people that were behind him in the first turn pulled off, so he might as well have been last.
Yep.
And he works all the way up to third. Once again, most guys in his position have been like, I'm just going to go and finish this race. I'm going to get paid for being here, and then I'm going to go home, and then I'm going to go on vacation with my wife and celebrate all the millions of dollars I just made for winning this title.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
For him, and this is once again, and I know that the listeners probably are sick and tired of me doing this, it's what I love about Dylan is, and he said this, and it's actually getting annoying now that Weege keeps bringing this up. his version of having fun is riding his dirt bike.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of people, and obviously they can have lives, like this is their job, this is how they make money, you know, surfing, golfing, whatever. And Dylan just goes, well, that's not why I came to this country. I came here to win and ride my dirt bike. And he just wants to go win. And it's like, for me, I go, dude, this is why I love this guy. And it's why, honestly, and can't remember what show it was we talked about this, but it's like, Dylan, I feel the narrative is changing on him. And I fully believe at the end of next year, maybe even during Supercross, the Dylan is going to become one of the fan favorites, if not one of the most favorite guys in the pits, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Maybe you guys see it different. Maybe other people do. But once again, and we heard it at Ironman, Dylan got one of the loudest pops on the podium. And I understand it's an outdoor race and it's not Supercross. But still, coming from a guy that little less than maybe a year ago now, he was hated.
Not even.
Yeah, not even a year ago. I guess you're right. It hasn't even been a year. He was absolutely hated.
Yeah.
The most hated dude you can honestly say in American Moto. And now people just fucking love him. And I think it's because he's so raw. He's so raw.
Raw dogging.
Jesus. He expresses his emotion. And he says the one thing that a lot of guys don't is dude, I just want to ride my dirt bike. Which kind of is like a throwback thing to like what it used to be back in the day where I just want to go fast. And it's what I
want a chance.
Exactly. Yep. And it's what I love about him. And I don't know, like we should have known better when we talked about this on last week's show. But Dylan he's got that lion instinct. Like, he just doesn't give up. And it's, like I said, it's the reason why, moving forward, I think he is going to be the guy to beat in both Supercross and outdoors. Which, in his opinion, he's like, yeah, I just hope to win another title. Which is fucking amazing to me. Like, dude, you just crushed it the entire year. And you're up here saying, I hope to win another title, and maybe you'll win a Supercross title.
Yep.
I don't know.
Coach, thoughts on Dylan?
It's interesting. I had a guy in YouTube comment say, why is it that a lot of the teams are going overseas? The gentleman mentioned the Lawrence brothers, Ferrandis, Roxon, Marvin. And if you go back and you listen to Whiskey Throttle and you listen to the Lawrence brothers on there, and the fact that their dad is like, hey, look, we're going to go the route of Europe, learn how to, eat on a budget, live pretty much on a, pool table. And there isn't a rider out there that has those experiences, whether it's riding on different tracks from Lomal all the way to just total shit tracks. That's what the teams are looking for. They don't want a rider that's going to complain that I didn't win today because it was blue groove and edgy, or it was deep and loamy, or it was, extremely rutted and deep. And that's what you're seeing with these European riders is they've seen, think about the MXGP, think about how broad spectrum those portfolio of venues are. And when you look at bringing that full circle, I know that I would love to have somebody that has that experience that's already gone through eating foods that they're unfamiliar with, riding in tracks that are out in the middle of no man's land that aren't perfectly groomed. And, that's what I commented to the guy on YouTube. And I think with Ferrandis, you have a couple things. First of all, you have Ferrandis. I don't know his story as intimately as we do like Chad Reed, where he and Ellie came over with nothing, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of Ferrandis's deal. I know that on the broadcast they were talking to his wife, and she was saying, look, we just pretty much packed everything up, and it's just, Dylan and I. You have that, and then who's his riding coach? Who's his mentor?
Yeah, DV.
Yeah,
who's the guy in his corner? And DV would go out and he would do well, and who's over there yelling at him when he comes off the track like you're a freaking spud? So DV does a great job of keeping that bar of accountability up. And I think, and this isn't, when you look at Dylan Ferrandis and he gets his ass chewed by DV, he doesn't get butt hurt. He listens and he goes out and he applies what DV is talking about next weekend. And I think, just like you were saying though, Justin, you carry that mindset into Supercross next year, where all he wants to do is just keep winning. He doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about the accolades. Jeff Emig commented about it. The fact that Dylan doesn't see himself as one of the greats,
which
like
is crazy
Jeff said,
to me.
After this weekend, he put himself up there. Both of you have already mentioned it tonight. He didn't have to charge the way he did, but he did. Whether that's fear of DV, whether it's just, doesn't matter what it is. What I can tell you is there are a lot of 450 riders right now that are looking at their program going, how am I going to beat Dylan? It doesn't matter what color bike, whether it's Roxon and Sexton, whether it's going to be AP and Anderson, or excuse me, AC and Anderson, whether it's going to be AP and Webb and Marvin. All of those guys are looking at Dylan as he's the guy to beat, not Cooper Webb. And I will argue that with anybody. I know Cooper Webb's a defending champion, but like what Justin was just saying, the fact that Dylan pushed as hard as he did, when you air quotes here, didn't have to, and the idea that you got DV that keeps raising the bar, yeah, they're going to go out and they're going to eat some of their French cheese and some of the stuff that they talked about on the podcast, but I guarantee you it won't go probably longer than the beginning of October, and DV is whip is out, structure has been reset, let's go. Mm-hmm. Supercross champion, here we are.
I think one of the most
be interesting.
impressive things to me, and obviously, Coach, you're the person to talk to about this, his cardio, his fitness is honestly, I mean, I know we put Ricky on this standard of the most physically fit guy we've ever seen put a leg over a dirt bike, and I don't know if anybody will ever debate that. There's some other guys you can put in that. You know, you got the guys over in the GPs, guys like Hurlings.
Steroids are a hell of a drug.
But Ferendis, I mean, let's be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen that dude get tired. Like, the dude isn't so much, and then that's the thing is like, obviously we know, and this is no disrespect to DV, but DV, he might have him on a program, but he's more of the mental side, the riding coach. I want to know if he specifically has a fitness coach, what he's doing, if he brought some of this stuff over.
Yeah, it's called DV.
Yeah, but see, DV, though, I don't know how.
No, DV gives him his workouts also.
See, but I'm wondering where DV is getting it, though, because let's be honest, DV has never been a fitness guy.
He would never. DV. He knows what he's doing.
Okay, well.
You can ask him. He'll tell you.
Yeah, I know. Well, I can. I'm not going to go into this whole tirade.
Listen, he'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm not going to this whole tirade, but I can argue that a little bit. I mean, I watched DV's career a lot back in the day, and he was never the most physically fit guy. But for me, that's the most impressive thing about Dylan is that when you watch these other dudes and they're coming off and they're gasping for air and they're sweating and this and that, Dylan just looks like he got off a Sunday cruise. And it's like, dude, I don't know if we've seen a guy that's this. I mean, Eli, people like to talk about Eli, but sometimes even Eli, you know, he has his moments, whereas Dylan just looks like he never gets tired. And I just, whether you want to talk about steroids, EP, whatever he's doing, I don't know. But that's just the most impressive thing to me is what was it? Was it Budds Creek we talked about this?
No, it was last week at Paula.
Well, no, Budds Creek was another one too, though, because it was the first really humid race we had this year, and they're just gasping for the air, like chugging down water, and Dylan just sits down on the cooler and he's like, well, "That's cool. I could do another 35 if you want me to."
But what I was most impressed with was last week at Paula. You got after the first moto, you got
Kenny and
Eli go straight back to the truck. Dylan goes to do the interview. Doesn't even take his helmet off when he gets there. He's just sitting there, full gear, full helmet in this heat, just like talking to people like, "Yeah, what's up? Like, it's cool, whatever." And everyone else is like, "Oh my God, I'm dying."
Yeah, and to me, Coach, that's just, I don't know. I guess that just also shows his commitment and how dedicated he is to being the best he can possibly be. But that's one of the things that most amazes me about him is like the dude looks like he could go old school and do hour-long motos like we used to do with the USGPs. And like I don't know, I got to commend them. Their program is obviously working, but to me, that's the craziest part about Dylan.
Yeah, you're right on the money there. When you look at these guys, you know, steroids aren't as much of an issue as EPO, corticosteroids, HGH, human growth hormone. That's what we call the cocktail in the endurance world. That's the magic combination. EPO increases the red blood cell count. HGH allows you to recover quickly. Corticosteroids is an anti-inflammatory. So, steroids, if you saw somebody with steroids and somebody that may want to go down a kind of a visceral mindset, when you see somebody with steroids, you'll see a lot of facial hair. You'll see the squaring off of the forehead. You'll see the separating of the front teeth.
Cooper Webb.
Yeah, you know, somebody who never had to shave before now is having to shave twice a day. Those are some pretty definitive outlines on it. The other thing that you got to keep in mind too is when you hear a lot of complaints about arm pump, when there's a lot of synthetic HGH that's being utilized, you look at this. I mean, look down at your forearm. Look at the diameter of your forearm. So what ends up happening is there's a connective tissue called collagen, and collagen, it thickens. It thickens with the use of synthetic HGH. So a lot of times you hear guys complaining about arm pump, and that's another indicator of HGH. Again, this isn't hearsay. This isn't throwing anybody under the bus. This isn't pinning it to anyone who complained of arm pump this year. Just as a physiologist, and if you talk to people who, they just know if you put this item in the human body, here's the physiological changes, and then, unfortunately, the physiological changes create other ouches. I've got arm pump. I've got whatever it may be. So it is pretty fascinating when you get a little bit more in tune with what PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, are in the system, and then listen to the complaints that we hear afterwards. I got a couple text messages and DMs this past week about fatigue. And one of the comments is how can our sport have such a high level of, whether you want to call it Addison's disease, Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue, all these fatigue-related issues? Very, very simple. We are the only sport that requires our athletes, our pros in particular, to be on for 45 weeks a year.
Yep.
So 45 minus 52, that doesn't leave you a lot of time to regroup. So if you look at endurance sports like triathletes, you look at professional cyclists, those guys are the master of PED programs. Everything that we're seeing in motocross is nothing more than a filtration down from the cycling community. It is what it is. What I find interesting is, like, you look at Ironman Hawaii, those men and women will train for 8 to 9 months for 1 year, for one race. Now, they'll do other races along the way, but then what they do is they will cycle off. Where am I going with this thread of thought? The body gets a chance to recover. We don't allow that for our riders. Because you've got to remember, think about any motorcycle you've ever modded. Think back to when you took a 125 and made it a 144. Did you run let's just say you put a 144 kit on a Yamaha. Did you go and run a YZ 85 chain on your 144?
Maybe.
No.
Travis, you would.
Who knows? Depends how broke I was.
Well, that's what people lose sight of is you mod one component of the system. Well, now you leave the rest of the system fatigued.
Yep.
And then the rest of the system can't catch up, and we see torn ligaments, muscles, tendons, ligaments. We see excessive levels of fatigue because if you guys jump on your motorcycle and you ride it in second gear and you take it around Millville for 45 minutes, even though the motorcycle is brand new off the showroom, what level of stress did you just put up on that system, machine?
It's going to grenade soon.
That's exactly it. And that's why we see such a high. Now, I'm not saying everyone that's complaining about fatigue is under this umbrella, but there is some incredible amount of consistencies amongst the attrition rate. I was making a list watching the race yesterday. Think about both classes. Look at 250. Who's out of 250 right now? Jalik Swall, Robertson, Ed Husky, McAdoo, Handmaker, and Smith at PC, Amart, Jeremy Martin at Yamaha, Nichols at Yamaha, Marchbanks,
Thrasher
and
at
Brown,
Yamaha.
Thrasher at Yamaha. Jump over to 450s. Barsha, Muscan, Sexton, AP, Osborne, Anderson, AC, Savachi, and Wilson. Now, what did we hear from Savachi? Don't know what's going on. What did we hear about Marchbanks? Addison's disease. What are we hearing about? And it's, to me, and I know that we've talked about this on the show previously, where is the accountability to the people who have run and ruined these athletes? It doesn't matter. Choose any of these 20 riders. They go through a facility, they go through a quote unquote trainer, they go through whatever. And yet the athlete gets diagnosed, and now their career, now the person that was training them is not responsible to give back any of the money that they received as quote unquote an expert. Because I believe, I don't like the word trainer. Again, it's very adulterated these days, but as a human performance specialist, as a physiologist, if I ever ruined an athlete, if I ever had an athlete that was accused of a PED like Brock was, I would I would spend my last dollar exonerating him to validate why that test cannot be true. Of course, unless the test is actually an accurate assessment.
Well, that's like
to be left and no accountability is to me is disgusting.
Well, that's like Robertson. Like, he's literally been out since Millville, and every time they go to the injury report, now I have a little bit more information on him as to what his original injury was going into the season. But they literally go on the report and they go unknown. Like they literally have not come out with a press release as to why Styles has been out since Millville. Like they just say unknown every time. We don't know. He's just been out since Millville. And it's kind of the same thing with Seth. Like obviously everybody kind of knows what's gone through with Seth, and we're not going to go through that whole thing again. But like when he was out after when he decided to take time off, was it Thunder Valley or High Point? I think that's the Thunder Valley.
2 or 3 rounds.
He just said like he was dealing with an illness and dealing with some stuff.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of came out with, oh, hey, like this and that. But it's like, I don't know. Just when I see that, I'm like, it's just so frustrating. It's like, come on.
Well,
like, we kind of know.
Think about how asinine this is. Because you have Seth Hammaker, who on his own went on social media saying, I've been diagnosed with Epstein-Barr.
Yep.
Now, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because it's not Feld and now it's MX Sports. I don't know if it's because the platform has changed. Now the discussion is, why is Seth Hammaker not racing? Unknown.
Yeah.
Really? Does the media think that we're that short memory? I mean, I'm 53. My memory's not the best. But my goodness, I can remember that it wasn't that long ago that Seth Hammaker went out there and said, hey, I have Epstein-Barr. Okay. But then for the media to go out and spin it and go, yeah, we don't know why he's not here. And then it was just like the same bullshit that you saw with J. Coop.
Yep.
I think they totally screwed the pooch on J. Coop. If you told me that I'm having a hard time beating you and you have a broken thumb, that would have screwed my confidence up. Because I'm thinking, if I can barely beat you with a broken thumb, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
But instead, nobody wanted to talk about it. J. Coop's on his A game, right? And then every weekend he's just a little bit off the mark. What does that do for my confidence? I'm going to freaking pounce on you like white on rice, like a spider monkey, and I'm going to kick you in the back of the head.
Well, that's like, I think Hunter, and I said this to Travis at Ironman because he was just off the whole entire day. I think Hunter is actually, and this is just speculation on my part, I don't know anybody that's been close to him. I haven't heard anything. Just watching how his rides have gone since Southwick and then watching him at Ironman, the way he was riding the bike, I think that Hunter's got some issues going on. And I don't know if we'll ever find out. I don't know if a press release is going to come out. But if you just watch him, and I know he was a little bit better this weekend, but I think there was also some other factors that played into this. And it's not like he's been terrible. It's not like he's been 19th. But I think that just watching him, I think that he's got some issues going on, and I don't know if that's what he changed in his program that allowed him to make it through Supercross, and then it wasn't working for outdoors. I don't know if he's sick. I don't know, but just watching him makes me believe that he's got something going on, and if he does, more power to him for gutting it out through the whole entire season. Like, hey, I'm going to finish this season. I'm going to change the narrative on me that I can't make it through a whole entire year, and he did. And I'm, not that it matters, but like I'm proud of him. Like that's awesome because the narrative on him for the last couple of years is he can't make it through a season.
Take it a step further. Who finished third overall in the points this year?
There you go.
It's just insane to me that he never caught anybody's attention. He had one win. That's cool.
Yep.
But outside of that one win, 5th here, 7th there, 4th here, 3rd here,
yep,
he ended up 3rd on the podium. Lucas Myrtle has got to be smiling from ear to ear not because of the money.
Yep.
Agents are there to make money. Anybody that has a problem with it, screw you. The idea is between Shimoda, Jet, and with Hunter, if you look at that for the overall season, look at the 250 class. Myrtle has 1, 3, and 5.
Oh yeah.
That I know of. I don't know if he works with any of the other guys because I know there was a lot of shifting around this year. But think about that. And this is where it goes back to the guy that says, hey, why are the American teams going to Europe to get riders? Look at the 250 class.
Yeah.
You have Jet Lawrence number 1, Lawrence number 3, Shimoda number 5. Okay, that's in the 250 class. You jump over to the 450 class. Now, granted, at the very end for Ken to lose to number 3 sucks, but
yeah.
You have Dylan 1, Roxon 3, you have Muscan 7, and that's just in the top 10. Max Anstey 11.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I know that, but let's look at the guys that are out of the 450 class that are European. Muscan, I guess that's pretty much it. In the 250 class, there would be nobody that would be European. So I don't know. I mean, what would you want to do if we're looking at, this is where I love this conversation with you guys, because if you throw that big parachute out there, that huge casting net, If you look at the attrition rate of our sport associated with fatigue-related diseases, and you have unqualified trainers doing what they're doing, zapping these athletes of essentially their career, not of the season, but of their career. And a lot of people don't realize this. These riders, some of them are contractually obligated to give a percentage of their salaries to a program that they don't agree with. And if they don't write the checks, the team threatens to sue them. What the hell is that all about?
I mean, honestly, and we'll talk about this in the offseason with people switching teams, but, talk about Travis's favorite 250 rider, Jordan Smith.
Lame.
Smitty is one of those people, though, that I think you could look back and you look at, him down at MTF, and this is me not taking a shot at Colleen and Little Brian and Big Brian, but Smitty's career has been shit, let's be honest, since 2017. And granted, he's had some good rides here and there, and I'm a Jordan Smith fan. I really like the kid. I think he's actually a good kid. I know that he has there's this thing about him that people say, oh, he's cocky, oh, he's this, oh, he's that. He always, had a silver spoon in his mouth. And maybe to an extent that is true, but let's be real. Let's look at his career since that season in 2017 Supercross where he almost won the title and probably should have had he not crashed. He's been hurt every year, and I know that some of that stuff is his own doing because he just makes bonehead mistakes, but that also boils down to the way he's being trained and what he's putting his body through. He can't stay healthy, and that's just not because, he crashes literally every time he's on a bike. Like, some of his crashes are just tip-overs, just dumb mistakes, and you can't sit there and tell me that, he broke his arm because he knifed the front end in a corner at Supercross. Like, that's just not how it works. So it's like, that's another thing, too, is the people that have been training him, whoever the nutritionist is, whatever, down at MTF, I don't know, they've gone through like 1 million of them in the last 10 years. That's on them as well. It's not just on Jordan. And, I know that Jordan, he deserves a lot of flack, but also in the sense, you got to start looking at some of the people that he's surrounded himself with, which once again is partly his fault as well. But it's not just on him, the reason why his career has taken a dive since 2017.
Well, and you bring up a very good point, though. When you step back and you look at that, what you just articulated, where is the accountability? Okay, because if you look at these facilities, you mentioned MTF, who's ridden down there that's done really well, that ends up becoming the selling tool, that ends up, I hate to say it this way, but it's what happens a lot of times. Hey, listen, this is who we've got training here.
Yep.
We've got Jordan Smith, Jordan Bailey, Dakota Alex. We've got
Alex.
Crockett Myers.
Yep.
Okay, so that becomes the marketing tool. Those guys are essentially the carrot that everybody's chasing. Those riders get worn down. They get completely eaten alive because what they are is they become marketing arms. Hey, look at who we have at our facility. Everybody spend time trying to run them down. Those riders actually decrease in speed and endurance at the expense of elevating everybody else.
Yep.
I was very thankful that Bronson Myers, Crockett's dad, he called me and he goes, I'm done. He goes, I need him on your program full time. So our first goal, put 25 pounds on him. Well, it's taken us over a year to only get 9 on him, because to do it healthy, the most you can do is about 1 ounce a day of pure muscle. But the first thing that we did, we weren't worried about building muscle. First thing we do is we remove fatigue from the body. And I want the listeners to think about this. You take a motorcycle that has 100 hours and you go dyno it. Why? It's no use. So you're out there trying to race a human body that's already pre-exhausted. It goes back to like what you were saying though, Justin. When you see these ridiculous tip overs, why do you think that is? This is not me out there. This is Jordan Smith out there.
Yep.
This is McAdoo out there. These are guys, I mean, I even go so far as Faulkner.
Yep.
These guys are exhausted before they go out there, and they make the most fundamental mistakes with huge ramifications. You eat shit in the whoops, you put your arm out, broken collarbone, broken wrist, broken X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, if you guys were to go and have a motor with 100 hours on it and race Millville or Hangtown and it lets go, are you really, really surprised? Because if you are, I have a bridge in Georgia to sell you. It makes no sense to me at this level of racing. Now, again, remember when Kyle Chisholm was riding for Sam Manuel, came out at left-hander, got that little bit of wheel spin and came up short and drove his tib fib to his heel bone?
Yep.
that is not a fatigue issue. That's a wheel spin issue.
My leg
I'm
hurts
looking at
now.
these injuries for the last 3 years, and you look at the attrition rate of some of the most high-profile teams. I mean, if I was a team owner and I saw these fundamental mistakes, I would be on a witch hunt for the heads of the trainers of these so-called athletes, or not so-called athletes, but the athletes that have trainers that have no credentials to be doing. Now, do I think everybody should call me? No, I don't. What I am saying is, if I was a team owner, if I was a rider and I was investing money in a performance program, and every indication is I'm fatigued all the time, I'm injured all the time, I'm not sleeping well, my performance results are inconsistent, you don't blame the trainer. You just ask questions as to what can we do and why am I performing this way? That's what has to change, straight up. Has to change.
Well, you see, and we got guys like Seth Rarick, and that's all I have to say. Sorry, I'm not gonna stop beating that horse. I think it's absolutely stupid.
It's a great move.
People like to call him a physical trainer or whatever he labels himself. And now he's a team manager of the hottest team in, America.
I'm interested to see where that goes.
Like I told you, and I can't remember, it was either, no, it wasn't the last show with Johnny. Maybe it was the last time we had Coach on. I don't know. But we were talking about Star, and I said, I really hope that this doesn't hinder the kids that started because of Will, like a Thrasher. Obviously Fry's not going to be there anymore, but like Thrasher, like Kitchen, when Romano steps up, when LeBlanc, if he does step up. Not so much Jay Coop, because he's got his own deal or whatever, and I know they still have Swanee, but it's just now we're bringing Rarick in there and all these kids that kind of were like promised, oh, Will's going to be there, and now it's Seth Rarick. It's kind of like I really don't know if their trajectory is going to be that great. Like I said, Jay Coop's going to keep doing Jay Coop things. Colt's going to keep doing Colt. J Mart's going to but it's these young kids that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And especially, like I said, Romano and LeBlanc, because Kitchen now he's been there, raced a couple nationals, but the Romano and LeBlanc are the next big things coming out of that program.
Yep.
And Romano, to me, like I said, is another one of those kids that's going to have a lot of pressure on him. And if it's like one of those, hey, Will was here, well, now Will's gone, and now you got to Rarick. Well, he really didn't have any camaraderie with Seth Rarick. It was Wilbur. And is his career going to take a dive? Who knows? Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I'm just looking at these young kids that kind of like, hey, you're coming to this team. Wilbur's our guy, and now Will's not there anymore. It's fucking Seth Rarick.
No, I have to agree with you 100%. I apologize to the listeners who also listen to Cooksey and the Coach. I said last week, I think Troy Lee himself has to, and Tyler Keefe's dad and Tyler, I would imagine that they've got to be ecstatic, because how many riders has Will Hahn worked with that he had to cultivate that bridge between amateurs and pros? Jeez. When you look at Loretta's, Levi Kitchen, not Alexander, but Fry, Kitchen, all those guys, right? They think they know what they're jumping into until they get there. And who was the fantastic guide from amateur racing to pro racing? Will Hahn.
Yep.
Now that ideology, that mindset, dedication, insight, patience, all that goes with that bridge is now sitting under gas.
Yep.
From what I've heard behind the scenes, Barsha has been extremely open-minded. He's been very helpful with the 250 riders. You look at Will Hahn, you look at Barsha. He's not the same asshole that we remember him back on the CRF 150.
Yep.
He's become a tremendous asset for that KTM Husqvarna, particularly gas environment, where now think about it. You've got a Will Hahn that has all the, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are more statisticians than I am. Is there anybody in the sport that has bridged more people from amateur to pro than Will Hahn? I think about Roger.
No, not.
Yeah, think about Roger.
Yeah.
What's he got? Alessi, Dungey. I mean, he picked up Reed when Reed was already established off of Yamaha Troy. I mean, I'm just trying to quickly go through the teams, but
Kehoe would be the only other person I would think of other than Roger that would be under that. Other than that, no, not really.
I mean, so when I'm Will Hahn, if I'm Troy Lee himself, and then I'm Keefe, and then Tyler Keefe, the team manager, and I liked what Cooksey said in the last show. What kind of balls does it take for Tyler Keefe, team manager at TLD, to know that he just hired somebody who could essentially do his job better than him? That just shows you how dedicated, and I don't know Tyler personally. I actually worked with his dad when his dad managed the motorsport Kawasaki team.
Yep.
That's when you had Boniface, Chisholm, Bonnie. And I forgot who the fourth guy was on there.
I know Cunningham was on that team for a while.
Yeah, but Tyler Keefe's dad was the team manager at the time, so I had a chance to rub elbows with him. Cool dude, level-headed, the whole 9 yards. The thing that I think is cool is, Tyler Keefe will probably move up the TLD stepping ladder, if you will. Will Hahn is right there, which is great for Troy himself. But when I think if I had a son right now that's on an 85, I would do everything I could to get him to meet Will Hahn.
Oh yeah,
because that Cliff Note version of where you're at to where you want to be, and they do it. They being KTM, Husqvarna, Gas. They do a great job with Casey Lytle, if I'm not mistaken, is still running that amateur development program at the Orange Brigade.
Yep.
So if that filter program is still there, I think you're going to see a big paradigm shift. If I'm Ryan Holiday, I'm thinking, oh shoot, where am I going to get my filter of athletes from?
Team Green's dead. Anyway,
yeah, fuck Team Green.
They haven't done anything recently.
But I think, and I haven't spoken to Ryan Holiday about this. I don't know if Team Green's new MO is going to be, do you just poach them? You know what I mean? Do you wait till they get to the
Honda's
250?
new MO. Let all these other people pay for it, and then we'll just poach them away.
Yeah.
But think about
Chance
it.
Hymas.
But I was going to say, outside of Hunter, Jet, and Hymas, who has Honda poached?
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody really. I mean, the only other person that's riding a Honda right now, and he's got his own thing going on. I think, if I remember correctly, I think I saw he's doing something with Phoenix, is Hunter Yoder, because he was obviously the next Geico kid. And then obviously when they went away, so yeah, like outside of Hymas, there's nobody really right now that they're looking at. I think they're putting a lot of their eggs in that basket because I mean they really don't have any kid that they're putting a lot of effort into that's in the B class or anything like that.
Yep.
Well, and you just mentioned something that's just, double bells whistle, Justin. We have Ken Roczen breaking his foot in the last moto of the year. It's no secret. If Roczen taps out, because what I'm hearing right now is he'll do Supercross and probably be done. If he taps out, let's say this foot is really bad.
Yep.
Let's say that he has absolutely zero desire to come back and scrap. The heir apparent is Jet Lawrence.
Oh yeah,
he's going to 450 sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
As soon as Roczen makes his public declaration that he's done, I don't care where you're at in the season. I don't care how many championships Jet has. I don't care what the AMA rules are that, MX Sports rules are that you can come back
yep.
and defend your number one plate. Jet is on the fast track to 450 Honda.
Mm-hmm.
He is the heir apparent. When I heard, because I wasn't able to watch the races live, I had to watch them late last night because of our endurance camp that we're doing here in Bryson. When I saw that he didn't get out of the first turn, I'm thinking this could be the decision maker injury for Roczen to go, you know what? Fuck this. I am done trying to. Now, I haven't heard from anybody the magnitude of the injury. It may not be bad. Let's say that he completely annihilates his ankle and has got to be structurally rebuilt. You think Roczen wants to go through this yet again?
I don't
see him not doing Supercross, but I'm 100% on board that he does Supercross and then says, all right, I'm done.
Well, I also feel like his motivation is not going to be there because, let's be honest, like after what happened this past year with Coop, and then now you got Dylan to deal with, and then now Eli is rejuvenated because he's on a different team. Like, everybody who watches the show knows me and Travis are Kenny homers, but we also can see the writing on the wall that, let's be honest, like Kenny is probably the fourth favorite guy going into Supercross.
And like we were saying, he's almost done. Like I said,
and
I see him going through Supercross, but if something happens in Supercross, he'll call it quits early, and I don't see him doing out.
And I'm going to be real honest with you. Fourth might even be like generous because Chase and AC like, let's be real, like he might not even be the fourth favorite. He might be, for the first time since he's been over here, he might not even be a top 5 guy.
Yep.
And it really hurts my heart to say that, but it's true.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of dudes that are taking over. So yeah.
Yeah. Coach, I got one more question for you here. It's going to be our question of the week here, because I know you said you only had an hour, plus we got Kevin Moran's coming up here.
Yes, sir.
So our question of the week, and Justin, think about this, because before we get off the show, I'm going to ask you this question too, and I want your answer.
Okay.
What justifies a team? What would you consider? This question was posed to me by Coach, we'll say a mutual friend of ours who will go nameless. He's a in the background guy. What justifies a team? Is it a truck with a trailer that has a bunch of bikes in it, and they pay for the guys to get there and they pay for their bikes, but you're riding for basically nothing? Is it does it have to be a factory effort? What in your mind, I mean, do the riders have to get a salary? Like what in your mind justifies a team?
You and I have talked about this off the record. I mean, it's no secret. My goal is to have a Moto E factory race team within the next 3 years. My definition of a team is every single person is on payroll and the team runs at a profit. That's it. That's the long and the short of it, because there is not another professional association where the stars of the TV show, NBA, NBL, soccer, golf, NASCAR, maybe not NASCAR, somebody could poke a hole in that, because you got to bring money to the team to get a ride, to get the motor deal.
Yep.
What other sport do we ask the stars of the TV show to pay to go play? And you and I have talked about this off the record. What irritates me to no end is, and I'm not picking on any team at the top, and I'm not picking at any team in the middle or a team at the bottom. Let's take a team in the middle. What wraps my ass is the truck driver got paid, the mechanic got paid, maybe not Lindsay, but most of the managers are getting paid, and yet the rider gets bonuses only, and that comes from an OEM.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's a definition of a team. Manager, motor builder, truck driver, mechanic, rider, everybody's on a salary. And at the end of the year, the team has done a great job. And it's kind of funny you bring this up in the way that you did that, Trav. Tonight on Cooksy and the Coach, you're going to love this. We got Watson coming on tonight.
Oh,
perfect.
perfect.
Shit.
Fucking perfect.
Okay.
Fuck.
Love that guy.
What makes your question so poignant is when you go back to Hart and Huntington and on Whiskey Throttle, both Watson and Kerry himself have come on and said, hey, look, we had Dodge, we had the casino, we had all the sponsorship we needed to retain the talents of the Ken Roczen. And then slowly, and I'll even go so far as to say systematically, the promoters, Supercross and Motocross, slowly took away what Watson had built in the area of activation. So what happens to the team 2 years later? It evaporates. So what I have a problem with is you have promoters that say they're all about trying to help the sport grow, and in their next breath are finding every way to steal money from the teams, steal money from promoter against promoter. Nobody works together.
No.
And again, I'm not everybody gets a trophy. I mean, I'm probably one of the most, I love economics. May the best man win. You got the best product. Let's do it, right?
Yep.
But to your point, a team has to be profitable, because that's what's called a business, unless you're the government. Okay. You have to understand that if there's not profit, you can't pay your bill on thanks.
Yep.
We don't have a machine in the back where we can print money the way our government and their asinine mindset thinks they can, right? It's called inflation.
Yep.
So the idea here is a team is where everybody gets paid. Everybody, especially the team owners, are able to make money at the end of the year, instead of this bullshit that I'm a team owner and I need a tax deduction, so I'm going to go ahead and start a team so I can run it at a loss. What other business, take it out of motocross, I was just pulling out of the back of my head, what automobile dealership says, you know what's a great idea? I'm going to invest $100 million in automobiles and then lose money all year. That's a good idea.
Yep.
Unless it's a front for drug money. I don't know why you would even try to do that.
Formula One.
Yeah, there you go.
Oil moguls.
Yeah.
And then you bring up Formula One, right? Look at the salaries that these drivers are making. And I don't know if you guys, I know you're both very busy. I don't expect you to, but if you listened to Cooksy and the Coach last week, and what was it that we were talking about? Because I got kicked in the balls by this guy. He DM'd me double barrels. He's like, you're a fucking idiot, man. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, because I was I was comparing PGA golf to motocross. And he's like, there's a golf course on every corner. You're a fucking moron. And I said, all right, point well taken, but show me the closest Formula One racetrack by your house. Show me the closest neighbor that has a Formula One race car in his garage.
There's a reason why there's so many. There's only so many in the world.
Say that again, Trav. Or say that again, Justin.
If you're talking about like the Formula One, like tracks that are like how many of there actually are, like there's a reason why there's only so many in the world.
Well, what this guy was saying is the reason why golf is able to pay at Augusta, I don't even know, $18 million prize purse for just Augusta, one event, right? Make the cut, make $55,000.
Yep.
He's like, well, that's because there's so many golf courses. It's economies of scale. I'm not an idiot. I love economics, right? I get it. Where your example is invalidated is there's not a lot of Formula One tracks. There's not a lot of people that buy Mercedes, Ferraris, and all those others. But yet you've got Formula One race teams that are paying their drivers tens of millions of dollars. And I can count on one hand how many guys that are making over $1 million a year base salary from an OEM. So if you're gonna, my point was when you're looking at golf, whether it's through a players union or whatever, their model is if we want to make the players millionaires, we have to create a series that allows us to charge sponsorship revenue, whether it's through entertaining, wining and dining, media exposure, brand awareness, recognition. NASCAR did it. I don't know about you, but I don't own a NASCAR track. I don't even own a NASCAR. But yet, how many cars were on the grid? 40?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't see 40 factory riders.
Private ownership in the teams
we were just talking about this last week with Johnny. Yeah.
Yep.
And then what's the missing link? A piece of the TV revenue goes back to teams and filters down to the drivers.
That's a big problem.
I mean, shit.
But hey, wait. Because we have all the keyboard dickheads. What do they say? Oh, Rob, you're about redistribution of wealth. You obviously don't know me. There is nothing I'm more vehemently against than redistribution of wealth. What I'm saying is make a model that works for everybody. Because last time I checked, Formula One is growing in the United States thanks to the Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because why? We now have 7 or 8 people that are household names in Formula One, of which I've never even been to one.
I was watching Formula One today.
Yeah, don't tell me I got to
There
watch it.
you go.
Oh,
And we
it's
don't.
exciting.
Oh yeah, I've heard. And we don't even
it's
have
exciting.
one fucking American on that grid.
No.
That's the crazy thing. Is most of the time, let's be honest, Americans when they watch sports, whether it be motorsports or stick and ball, they want to do it because hey, an American, this and that. Formula One doesn't have one damn American on in that circuit.
Nope.
And what does the narrative? How does the narrative get manipulated by those that are trying to protect those that are manipulating the system? This is motocross. You're stupid. Everybody just wants to race moto. Everybody knows that nobody's going to make money. You get into it for the love of racing. Put the crack pipe down and step away from the table. If you continue to adhere to that asinine mindset, we're going to never see the sport grow. I'm not a NASCAR fan, but 15 years ago when my now 22-year-old son was little, we would sit and watch NASCAR. He knew the drivers. I'm not a NASCAR fan. He was. Why? It was on TV and they made the drivers tangible. You knew who they were. And yet people go, well, Moto is always just going to be a poor man's sport. It's these guys do it for the love of racing.
Obviously, they've never done a dirt bike.
You have drank the Coca-Cola syrup. You've listened to the politicians that say this is just the way the sport is. And yet we've got guys that their entire sport is on the backbone of running moonshine. And we can't emulate that?
Yep.
I'm not saying run moonshine. I'm just saying it wasn't, because you get the people that say, well, Formula One is all the very, very tip of the iceberg wealthy people. You're right. But that didn't just fall off of a turnip truck.
I mean, Silverstone over 2 months ago had 356,000 fans in attendance for that race, making it the most attended race of anything ever. Now think about 356,000 people packed into the Silverstone Raceway, and luckily Lewis Hamilton won. But the fact is 356,000 people from across the world
Wild.
went to that race.
Wild.
I can't even fathom being in a place with 356,000 people.
And we've been to Destinations.
Yeah, I mean, the most
times.
most thing I've ever been around is 90,000 people, maybe 100.
Yeah.
356. That's just absolutely stupid to me.
Yep. So.
But think about it. You don't just create an event and almost 500,000 people show up, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
You create a story. You create personalities. Personalities create sponsors. Sponsors create more teams. More teams create better television. Better television package means, hey, and again, I'm not using this in a redistribution, but just the filtering, not even the filtering, just the model, because the promoters, PGA, understand without these storylines, people don't watch, and without ratings, there is no run. Again, why do we try to complicate the simplistic? You have to reverse engineer this. Until a PGA player becomes a story, there's nothing to market.
Mm-hmm.
What is our model? We have a series and we shit on the stories.
Yep. So.
It's so simple to fix.
Yep.
So simple to fix. That's the definition of a team, is that everybody that puts sweat equity in, anybody that's listening to this, can you imagine going to your job tomorrow and your boss says, hey, look, thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Good luck paying your bills.
I'm walking out the door.
Yep. Exactly. So.
And yet, because we supposedly love the sport, we expect the guys just to suck it up, put up with it. It's all good.
So.
And if you have a voice of discontent, then for somehow, again, this is the great politician spin. If you have a voice of discontent, then somehow you're made out to be the bad guy, that you're trying to be, I don't know. I've heard so many different descriptions on when you have a voice, then supposedly you're trying to ruin the sport. You're trying to ruin the people that saved the sport. You're trying to ruin the image of the sport. And I had a guy DM me, and he said, and you guys may have seen it in some of the comments on YouTube. The guy said, Coach Robb, why do you put these videos out? What do you hope to accomplish? And I just simply wrote, to make the sport better.
Bingo. That's the same thing we're trying to do.
I mean,
here.
we just talked about this with Johnny for 35 minutes to end the show last week. Like what we think a series to better these guys' chances with privateers and stuff.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. And the biggest thing that and I'll answer your question later, Travis, but the biggest thing that I've come to realize is why people think this way is because people just don't like change. Mm-hmm. People just don't like change. They don't want to hear it. They get stuck in their ways, and like you said, they adhere to certain things, Coach, and they accept it, which is a big problem. Like, fine, if you want to live your life like that, but things are never going to get better if you keep doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Justin, you bring up something that's really important, and this is very volatile, and I don't want to leave on a volatile note, but think about it. Why is it that people have that opinion? This is just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the scary part, because if you try to become a catalyst for change, it's perceived as you want to ruin the sport. Mm-hmm. Because the sport right now is being, whether you want to use the word narrative, the example, the demonstration, the aura that's being conveyed.
Yep.
Is look at me, what a great guy I am for the sport.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go listen to Guy Cooper talk about getting ostracized. And then you go and you listen to Watson talk about being ostracized. And then you listen to opportunities being taken away. Next thing you know, Watson has no casino, no Dodge, no Ken Roxon.
No, he's not even a team manager anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So we need to get Junior on here.
All right. Well,
but I do appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Make sure to check Coach Robb out, CompleteRacingSolutions.com. I've memorized that now.
You have.
There you go.
I've got it written on my paper, too. So make sure to check him out.
Thanks
like I
so
said,
much, guys.
he will help you guys out. Coach, we will talk soon. We're doing a super show. We're going to get Cooksey on, too. We're going to do a super show.
Okay.
Maybe it's going to be the off-season show we're going to do?
Yeah, we're going to do a super show, and we're going to fix the sport on this show. We're getting all the great minds together.
All right, guys, that's going to be a very long show. So you better buckle up.
4 hours of us all shitting on what's going on right now.
It's going to be great.
Well, Travis, when you get a chance, send me a text on who's going to be on that super show and give me a tentative date so I can get it on there.
All right.
But thanks for having us so much, guys.
Thank you,
and
Coach.
thanks for all the listeners. Appreciate the support.
No problem. Thanks, Coach. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Take care, Justin.
Thank you.
Take care, Travis.
Yep. Bye.
Peace.